So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the Commercial Real Estate Women's Asset Management course with our UCREW connection with CREW Network. So thank you guys for joining us. My name is Norette Walls. I am the CREW chapter president for the Inland Empire. I also work for Chicago Title Company. I know we have several students on today and you guys are in for a treat. You're going to hear from some wonderful panelists. I do want to say thank you to our sponsors that make events like this possible for all of us. First American Exchange and Suzanne Kennedy, who is our chapter president for CREW Orange County, made a very nice donation so we could do this today, along with Colliers International, Prologis, Enterprise Funding, Gresham Savage, Lee and Associates, and Marcus and Millichap. So we hope you enjoy this panel today and thank them for their time and their money donations to our foundation. So I wanted to share with you just a little bit about CREW Inland Empire Foundation, what it is and what it means. So CREW Inland Empire, or CREW Network basically, is a national organization, international now, with chapters in London and Canada as well. And they have over 14,000 members internationally. Our chapter here in the Inland Empire encompasses Riverside and San Bernardino counties. Our chapter is 12 years old. And in 2015, we got together collectively as a group and decided that we wanted to be able to give back to the Inland Empire. And so we created the CREW Inland Empire Foundation. And basically this foundation we created was for the future leaders of CREW Inland Empire. You know, we believe really strongly about giving back to the community and mentoring the next generation of commercial real estate professionals. So one of our goals at CREW Inland Empire is to create opportunities for women to pursue commercial real estate careers by providing scholarships and mentoring support to women interested in pursuing a career in some form of commercial real estate. So if you'd like to get some information about the scholarships that we give through our foundation, you're happy, or you can visit our website. We're going to talk about it today as well. Our website is crew-ie.org/scholarships. So in 2015, we decided that we'd be able to help the organization by giving 2 scholarships every year at $2,000 a piece. So we give those every year at our foundation dinner. And hopefully we can't wait to give a couple of the scholarships to those of you attending this class today. I do want to make an introduction to our 2018 scholarship recipient and winner, Susanna Romick. Susanna has been a wonderful part of our chapter and our organization since 2018 when we did meet her. She's on the 2020 scholarships committee. She's on the 2020 programs committee. She is our moderator for our panelists that you're going to hear today. Susanna is a recent graduate from Cal State San Bernardino with an MBA. So Susanna.
Thank you so much, Norette. So I am super excited to be here and I'm going to tell you a little bit about the panelists that we have today. I'm going to start off with Naomi Muha, and Naomi is a senior property manager at Colliers. Naomi specializes in commercial management for GSA, laboratory, office, medical, and retail property investments. She is experienced in government leasing, tenant retention programs, sustainability initiatives, vendor contract management, operating and capital budgeting, business plans, and property value enhancement. Naomi is responsible for a portfolio of third-party commercial real estate investments ranging from retail to office and GSA laboratory medical facilities. Additionally, Naomi works on special projects as a consultant evaluating special use, operating budgets, lease review, and tenant relations. And we're very grateful that she was able to join us today. So thank you, Naomi, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Next, we have Eliza Karagezian, a property manager at Prologis in their Ontario, California office. She has been with Prologis for 7 years and gained her start as a property administrator. She currently manages a portfolio of 43 customers totaling 7.7 million square feet in the Inland Empire. Prior to joining Prologis, she worked in the nonprofit sector, providing services for underserved communities. She holds a BA in English Literature from California State University, Los Angeles, and an MA in Organizational Leadership from Woodbury University. Eliza, thank you again for being here today. And then lastly, a personal friend and fellow programs committee and scholarship committee, but today is going to serve as one of our panelists as well. We have Pam Scamardo from TPK Properties LLC. And a little bit about Pam, has committed the last 9 years to acquiring, managing, and repositioning apartment complexes. She specializes in maximizing passive income for partners while preserving investor capital. Pam managed a multifamily asset portfolio valued at over $6 million through successful syndications. Currently, Pam serves as the founder and managing partner of TPK Properties LLC, a privately held multifamily investment company that acquires, manages, and renovates medium to large-size apartment buildings in California, Arizona, Oregon, Washington. Prior to founding TPK Properties, Pam worked as an I can't even say that word, Pam, aeronautical and mechanical engineer at Lockheed Martin, Boeing, and UTC Aerospace. She managed projects that entailed detailed financial projections, new product development, product launching, analytical testing, and reports, as well as managing a global stress and design team. Pam has a BS degree in aerospace and mechanical engineering from the University of California, Irvine, and an MS degree in aerospace engineering from the University of Southern California. Pam is also enrolled agent with an emphasis on real estate taxes. Pam, thank you for being here today. So with that, those are our lovely panelists today, and we have compiled a list of questions that we feel will give some additional information on what they do. In addition, if you, the participants of this meeting, have additional questions, please type it into the chat and we will respond to those questions when there is time to do so. So let's go ahead and get started with the questions. Yes, I have notes in front of me. So first, number one, and whoever wants to start, maybe raise your hand or just start speaking, but how did you get the mentoring you needed in the position that you have?
I can go on that one. I started in commercial real estate pretty much close to out of getting my bachelor's degree. And I ended up with an admin job working for some private developers. And working for those developers, it was one female and 35 men in an office. And our headquarters was out of Minneapolis, and there were females in that office. And the recommendation was, you need to find mentors, go to CREW, you know, talk to your bosses. And that's what I did. I was very proactive in looking. And at that time I was in Kansas City. So I was able to find, you know, with asking, hey, I'm looking for mentoring within CREW, and I was able to be introduced early on to some really fantastic mentors. But then as my career has grown, I am proactively always looking for mentors, including some of the asset managers that I work with directly today. In fact, I was talking to one this morning about this presentation and about, you know, how he mentors me and I mentor him apparently, which I didn't realize I was doing. So I think there's a proactive approach, but there's also, you know, an asking approach, which is really important. So you can go out and look for yourself and find a good connection with somebody, but then also if you're not finding that, ask some people. And there needs to be a two-sided connection. One-sided mentoring doesn't work very well.
Thank you very much. Do either of our other panelists want to chime in on that question as well?
I can go. So my start in property management was really very accidental. I'd never considered a career in this field. I really didn't know much about it. And then a friend of mine told me about a temp opportunity here, and it's Kelly Durgam. She's a senior property manager with Prologis in our Los Angeles market. And Kelly was, you know, a friend before and sort of a life mentor before that, but she was an integral part of my mentorship and Prologis. So I think finding someone that that can be in any organization that you go to, that can be a sort of a guide, a mentor, a friend, someone who's really willing to teach and share their wealth of knowledge is very important. And now, after 5 years with the organization, you know, I have an opportunity to mentor my assistant and others that I work with. So it feels really rewarding to do that. But seeking out mentors and people that you feel who can add value to your experience is very important. Much like Naomi was saying, like, you have to take a really proactive approach to building those relationships and getting that help.
Thank you very much. That is, both of you have provided a really good insight into mentoring. I know how important that is. Pam, did you want to add anything to that?
Sure, I'll add something really short here. I believe the question was, how did you get the mentoring that you needed, right? And as Susanna shared, I have an untraditional background to how I got where I'm at today. So for me, when I was first starting off, the how was, I went to bookstores, I went to what's it called, seminars, or just little group club meetings locally. And I also talked to people and asked around, like what Naomi and Eliza have also mentioned here. One book that stood out to me was Commercial Real Estate for Dummies, and the color was yellow, it was bright, stood out to me, started reading it, loved it. And that's how I found my first mentor. At the end of the book, I felt like he was talking my language because he was actually an engineer turned full-time commercial real estate investor. So yeah, that's kind of my story of how to find the mentoring. You just talk and ask and look at every avenue possible. And nowadays there's a wealth of information online as well. So just be persistent and keep going. And remember, it's a two-way situation. Find the right fit.
All right, thank you very much. So we still don't have any current questions in the waiting room. Yes, Eliza. Oh, never. Okay.
Never mind.
All right. Let's go ahead and go to question 2. And why don't we keep with the same organization of answering questions? So we'll start with Naomi, Eliza, and then Pam. So our second question is, what is one thing you didn't know before going into this field that you wish you had known prior?
So my undergrad is English literature, Spanish language. And I wish I would have known that an engineering degree would have been something I really enjoyed. When I was getting my master's in real estate at the University of Missouri, Kansas City, we had a 2-week study abroad where we went through Brazil, Sao Paulo, all over. And in Brazil, when we went to some of the universities there, to their real estate departments, they are in the engineering department. So to get a real estate license in some countries, you need an engineering degree. I think there is a lot of benefit to having some mechanical and engineering background in addition to your finance, administrative, and communication. So I wish I would have known that earlier on in my educational career.
All right, thank you very much.
So for me, I completely fell into this field blindly. I wish I had known early on in life that how lucrative and interesting a field of work this is, and what great opportunities there are in property management, especially for women. I think if I had known this, you know, as I was starting my professional career, I would have definitely chosen it much sooner. So that is that's something that that I always think about. You know, that I could have, you know, really enjoyed a long-term career in this, and I came into it very late in my late 30s, and I'm so happy that I did. So yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Pam?
The one thing that I didn't know before going into this field would be the power of networking and making valuable connections, such as building bridges. And it takes time. You can't just do it all overnight. You truly have to put in the work in. So that was the one thing I wish I'd known before. And for example, what I always like to recommend to students is that, and this is a little different since we're online, but if we were in a live panel session together, I would really recommend you guys just stepping out of your comfort zone and really approach the panelists or even anyone in this team after the event to introduce yourself, tell us what you're looking for. That potential connection may pay off in the future. It may not pay off right away, but it's a good way to just start practicing now. And I know it's a little bit uncomfortable from the student perspective. I've been there myself as well, but I'm here to encourage you guys to do that, take that step forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. All right, we're gonna move on to question number 3. And I did see something come into the chat. We'll address that at the end of this list of questions from Brandon. So number 3, is there an area of focus you wish you took or a topic you would have taken a deep dive into understanding prior to real life experience? I think Naomi, you touched on that a little bit with the engineering. Is there anything you wanted to add to that?
I would say that, you know, I didn't get to do that formally in a career setting, but when I worked very early on in my early 20s for a developer, and I was the one female with the 35 gentlemen in the office, my boss said, you know what, you need to know mechanical items. So for example, we're going to send you to the union outfit for basic electrical class. And then I went for another class for electrical troubleshooting. And then I went for a third class and I got my EPA certification for evacuating, you know, coolant out of an HVAC system. But that's how you learn that those kind of mechanical things to go along and complement, you know, your high level of administrative skills or your, you know, communication skills and the classes you're learning about finance and the other parts of real estate, you know, supplementing what you don't have as much knowledge on in a formal career. I think that's really important.
That definitely, I would agree with that. Thank you very much. Eliza?
So along with what Naomi was saying, I think if I had taken some real estate courses, definitely accounting, finance, management courses in general, these things would have definitely been a huge benefit. I don't think not having a background in any of these things has held me back from, you know, from opportunities or from learning, you know, just hands-on day-to-day learning. But if you have an opportunity now, definitely look into these things, you know, anything with, you know, learning basic construction management and, you know, managing people, real estate, of course, I think most of you are already taking, but and we wear so many different hats, and I do everything from, you know, accounting to running a full-on construction project to dealing with HVAC issues to, you know, landscaping issues. So very varied, very interesting. I've learned so much and continue to do so.
Right. I know continuous learning seems to be a hallmark of any career. If you stop learning, it just doesn't have the same enjoyment. Thank you. Pam?
All right. So to recap, the question is what area of focus you wish you took or learned, right? So for me, I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent here. So bear with me, because this is from my experience is that I've noticed that financial education is unfortunately not part of the core curriculum in high school level or even at college, right? And I feel like all of us at some point learn to manage our own personal finances, whether it's through our parents passing it down to us or us just stumbling upon it for ourselves. And I feel like it's very important to kind of help us grow in the topic here that we're talking about, whether it's asset management, property management, or wealth management. Learning to manage paper assets or even physical assets. It's something that takes time and experience. And so I really wish there's something like that going on right now. And it's very important to develop your financial IQ, whether it's through being self-taught. The further you can increase your understanding of your personal finances and how that can grow into a bigger corporate financial situation, the better you'll be in the long term, and how you can market yourself and understand how a small business, a medium-sized business, or a large business runs. And that's all the relevant skill set that would help you in managing any sort of project.
All right, I completely agree. Thank you very much. All right, so we've got a multi-phased question here, and we'll start off and then sort of break it down a little bit more. But what tips do you have for students who want to enter into a career in asset property management?
Sure. So interestingly enough, my assistant, he's 2 years out of college in a real estate career. And I asked him this question because we had these prepped, right? And so I thought this was a really good response, and I thought it was worth sharing. So when he was obtaining his real estate license, this is before he was working in the industry, he obtained his license, and then for the extracurricular classes, he focused on sales and things that he kind of already had an understanding of to get that extracurricular part done. He wishes he would have focused, now that he's kind of in the asset property management track, some of the other extracurriculars while getting his real estate license that focus more on maybe multifamily and commercial opportunities within that education track. And I thought that was really important. It's something, if you're working on your real estate license now or in the near future, it's a good opportunity.
All right, that's excellent advice, and you got it from someone who just came out of school, so that seems very relevant. A follow-up to that is, do you have any recommendations for how students can prepare for interviews or look for internships in the area?
So I think on an interview, be your authentic self, but be your authentic professional self. Present yourself professionally, but be authentic to who you are, because you're going to be working with people, every day, and they're going to know who you are. So presenting that up front is really important. Having a resume that's honest and who you are. A lot of times, we're going through resumes. I do a lot of hiring as well for the staff that I work with. And I will interview people on, number one, the word formatting on the document is all askew. So I know that they maybe are not that strong in Word or computer skills potentially. And if they're hiring them for more of an job where we're in the office, not a engineering position, that to me is key. So, making sure the resume is formatted correctly, how to use the software, and present your professional, authentic self.
All right, there was a third question, but you did address it within the first. So I'm going to move on to Eliza. Do you need me to repeat the question?
No.
Thank you.
So what tips do I have? I would say start early, get your foot in the door somewhere and start building experience. If it's an entry-level position, take it. In Prologis, people don't leave. Most of the property managers I know in this company have been here for, over 10 years. So while, opportunities are rare, they do open up. So definitely, get in somewhere, find a company that you like, and stay with them. Connect and get involved with organizations like CREW. I think doing an event like this is really important. Attend many of them, and then network and build relationships with people who can mentor you in this field. And then as far as recommendations for how to prepare for interviews, I think the most crucial skill anyone can have for an interview is the ability to showcase one's emotional intelligence, right? So you can have your hard skills, you can have, a degree or a real estate license, You might even have some experience in the field. But the thing that always stands up to me most in an interview is how well is someone able to communicate? How articulate are they? How well is their resume formatted? How professionally do they present themselves? How empathetic do they come across? What does their work ethic seem like? Knowing problem-solving skills, teamwork, and understanding the importance of these skills will be vital to not only the interview process, but to the actual work in these industries. Most of my job, apart from the skills that I need to do the work that I do, is relationship building, relationship building with my customers, with the vendors, with my coworkers, knowing how to be a team player and really connect with people authentically and in a genuine way, like Naomi was saying. If you're blustering and it's fake confidence, a false sense of confidence you're presenting in your interview, people will see that, in no time. But, showing your authentic self and really building on that over time in your relationships is really important.
And do you have any recommendations for specific classes or things that a student can take now to assist in their asset property management?
Absolutely. Again, apart from doing, the sort of required courses, where you're going to wear many, many hats. So knowing, basic construction, some sort of course that allows you to understand, that accounting, take courses outside of real estate too. I would say anything in the humanities or arts will be crucial. Again, like learning the ability to connect with others, building a sense of empathy and understanding for the human condition. This is vital. When you have to ask somebody for rent, that they haven't paid, and knowing how to be able to communicate that with them. Sometimes people are going through difficult situations, and you need to understand, that yes, it is business, and I'm going to do my part, to protect my company's interests and our asset, but how to approach this and to be able to get the results that you want. So really just basic, human understanding of that. Writing, take lots of writing courses. Great part of my job requires, writing emails, writing memos internally, externally, and having a general sense of how well to communicate. Take, public speaking courses, make you more confident in them.
All right, I'm gonna move on to Pam. I'm also gonna bring attention to, we've got about 10 more minutes to address the remaining questions. So, I might be a little bit of a time person at this point, but Pam, please give us your take on these questions that were presented, please.
Okay, I have a quick and simple answer for the first one. What tips for students? Network, which I spoke about earlier. So I'll leave it at that. Please network. Follow up on that is, any recommendations how to prepare for interviews? Well, when you're networking, you're potentially seeing if someone can be your mentor or connect you with someone who you admire professionally, right? So maybe what you can do is try to emulate their mannerisms, see what they're doing in the community, and maybe take it a step further. Reach out to them, and when we're all in the clear, maybe say, hey, can I take you out for lunch, for coffee, so I can get some personal tips from your experience. So that would be how I would approach it. And then to take it another step further, for the experience that I would highly recommend, it's a tough question because we all have different backgrounds here and different skill sets. But in the end of the day, this is a relationship business, right? How you present yourself, how do you sell yourself, whether you're representing yourself or the company, right? So it's a relationship business, and I think both ladies have touched on it greatly. It's the emotional intelligence, the ability to work in groups, and also to communicate, right? Nobody's a lone horse in this. You need to be able to work as a team because you're going to be interfacing with so many different facets of whatever project you're on. And I want to share that you guys are all doing great by taking your formal education, but take it a step further with the free education that's out there today. For example, like I have a meetup group that we meet probably once a month or every couple weeks, and my sole purpose of creating that is to provide quality free education for those who want to learn about investing in the commercial real estate arena. Maybe that might be your cup of tea, but there's other meetup groups as well. So search what's really important for you, and then at the end of it all, be organic, be authentic. We're all human. We know you guys are searching, finding your path, so you won't always know what you're looking for, but when you're honest and authentic, it really comes through, and we can tell that.
Thank you very much. Oh, go ahead, Naomi.
No, I was going to say, I heard her say this investment. I'm curious, so I'm going to ask. Hey, Pam, can I include in? Because I bet there's something I can learn there, for sure.
Sure. So the website is, wait, I'm practicing pointing. Wait, I don't have it up. You can message me through my TPK LLC website or the other site. And after this, you know, as a follow-up, I can send the information as well. But I encourage you all to just, you know, just Google. I don't know, we're all online right now because we can't go anywhere. So might as well spend your time at home learning, right?
All right. Okay, so question number 5. Hopefully these can be a quick response. What have each of you done to give back to the community?
So I'm going to tie this into a question from, let me see, I think it's Colin, about how important is it to specialize in your industry? So early on in the career, you know, I was more subject to my company's, you know, strategies and where they wanted to participate in community involvement. But at this point in my career, I manage currently the largest VA ACC that the VA does not own or the federal government does not own, and I work on a lot of these projects across the United States. Well, with that, and being involved with the VA, a couple years ago, I became an ELK. ELKs actually were the first founder of the VA. I'm on the Veteran Service Committee with my local lodge chapter, and we do a lot of work. And I connect directly my lodge back into the facility, the largest facility that I manage. And I find it very rewarding. And because we're so busy with work, I find that I'm able to, control is not the right word, but I think balance is the right word, community involvement with my work a little bit easier. And at this, you're gonna get to a point in your career as well where balance is gonna be something you've really gotta think about, and your timing and how you apply your skills, and then incorporate community service into it. And so following a niche and how I got to that VA part, and that's what I do very specifically now, is I started out managing all different kinds. Retail, I worked for private developers, I worked for REITs, I worked for a couple different companies. And so I got a very good grasp of a couple different types of real estate products. And this is what I like to do. I like less tenant, more building, but higher communication and very complicated relationship. And that's what I chose, but I found that later on. I didn't find it in the beginning. Maybe if I knew in the beginning that's what I really would have liked, I would have specialized then, but I didn't know. I didn't know what product I would like best.
All right, thank you very much. Eliza?
So Prologis is huge on giving back to the communities that we work in, and we do an annual global day of giving that we call Impact Day. And it's basically employees in all 19 countries, 1,700 employees who do a day of volunteering. And you know, we all go out into the field. And this year, because of COVID, it got delayed. It usually happens in May, but every year we do about 10,000 hours collectively of volunteer work. Right now during COVID, we're doing, you know, Prologis Gives Back. It's, you know, our office in the Inland Empire. We're donating meals to first responders and hospitals and doctors' offices. You know, individually, we work with, you know, United Way. I'm doing a volunteer giving opportunity for United Way right now for victims of COVID and, you know, families who've been affected by it. So I love that, you know, I work for an organization that is, you know, very generous and thoughtful about giving back to the communities that we work in.
All right, thank you very much. That's excellent. Pam?
All right, so for those who don't know what I do, I have more of a small business. So I actually own my own business and work with property managers who I on top manage. So since we're a small enough company, I oversee a lot of the jobs that my managers do. And I invest in a lot of B and C class assets. So most of my tenants have been hit very hard in the service industry by being laid off or waiting for unemployment. So what we did was we were a little proactive with our community. Rather than waiting for the tenants to approach us and say, hey, we lost our job or we're really struggling, we told them that, hey, we understand we're all struggling here. Here's some resources. And on top of that, we offered a discount on everybody's rent just during this time because, you know, we're all going through some tough times right now. And we're also in the business of retaining high quality tenants in our community. So, you know, if we can help out, whether it's small, it goes a long way. We're more of a community. And for me on the personal level in giving back, I'm a firm believer in giving back in any way that I can. So this year has been part of my 2020 intention. So for example, I'm an enrolled agent with the IRS. What does that mean? I'm equivalent to like a CPA. I can prepare taxes. So I volunteer during tax season at Central Park, which is a local park over here, through the AARP for seniors. And we help seniors who may not be able to get out of the house, and we can go to their house and do taxes for them. Or if they come into the office, then we help them out for free. I also obviously enjoy volunteering for CREW. I'm the programs director, so this has been super fun. The friendships I've made with you all and meeting you all has been super exciting, and it's just great. I believe in giving back to students, and student outreach is at my core right here. And so yeah, my intention is just to spread quality education for free to folks and connect with people, and then help people connect with one another as well.
All right, that's wonderful. Okay, so for our question section, we've got about 3 minutes left and quite a few questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of merge a few of the really pertinent questions that I think are essential for everyone to hear at this point. Are the panelists okay with me doing that? Great. Okay, so I'm going to kind of, if you've got them in front of you, I'm going to kind of merge questions 6, 8, and 9 together, which is, you know, what path do you take to get to asset property management position that you are in now? And what's one tip you can give to students trying to enter the workforce in 2020 to, you know, the starting position? What would you recommend they do? And why are you involved with CREW? And if you can sum that all together, that would be wonderful. And let's go ahead and start with Naomi.
Okay, so, you know, I started entry level. I did not have a real estate degree. So I started at the very bottom and worked my way up. So I'm over almost 25 years in the industry now. And early on in my career, I started in CREW for the reasons I mentioned. And I found the networking, the mentoring, huge. I also always continued education. So, you know, getting into the industry, not realizing, you know, where I was going to go, I obtained my master's degree after I realized this is going to be a long-term career for me, and I want to move up. I don't want to be in this position. So continuing education, not just the college level then, but taking, you know, union workshop, electrical, plumbing, understanding those things. I'm currently with Colliers. They offered me a Harvard Management Scholarship to attend the online courses. So the 2-year program that I'm doing now. And does it take time? Yeah. In addition to work? Yes, it does. But I've done it my entire career, and it has boded really well for me. Continuing education, continue learning, going outside of what I know and trying to search those things to learn, you know, are really important. It always adds and molds and creates a well-rounded body of knowledge that you can work from. I think I got them all in there.
I think you did. Thank you very much. All right, Eliza.
Sorry, I keep losing the unmute button. So what path did I take? I got into this field entry level. I started off as a temp, and I was an assistant to 2 property managers. And from the day I started working with them, I kept asking, what do I need to do to get promoted? What do I need to do to get to the next step? I kept asking for opportunities to learn, for mentoring. I volunteered for, you know, any project that was available, just so that I could, show that I am able to do more than what my job requirement was. And it paid off. And like I said, at Prologis, people don't really leave. So, opportunities don't open up that often, but I knew that I was positioning myself for an opportunity should it come up. And I'm grateful that it did. And there's one tip that I can give anyone entering the workforce now, apart from everything else that you're doing and, learning courses, participating in CREW, finding mentors. And there's a book by Daniel Pink called A Whole New Mind. It's all about the workforce of the future. Artificial intelligence is going to be the wave of the future. It's not going to take away from our jobs, but our jobs are going to be way more competitive in the future. Read this book, learn about ways that you can, leverage your skills and your abilities so that you are, a hot commodity for those jobs that are going to be far and few between.
Thank you very much. Pam, what do you have to, well, where did Pam go? Oh, we might have lost Pam. Okay.
Oh, I'm back.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
Oh, that was weird. I got kicked off and it just, I'm back now. So
Welcome back.
can you help me recap the question? I apologize.
Of course.
I know you kind of combined it all.
So quite a bit of this has been covered throughout, but what path did you take to get where you're currently at? If there's one tip you can give to students entering the workforce right now, what would it be? And why are you involved with CREW?
Okay, so what path? I shared already, untraditional path from engineer to commercial real estate investor. And that takes a lot of just making the big jump to go from a W-2 paycheck person to now I'm an entrepreneur, I'm in charge of all the finances. So that's tough, and that's probably another separate subject that I can talk on later directly. And let's see, you asked a tip, again, network. That's kind of going to be my motto this whole panel. It's really just network, get to know us. We're doing this for students. We want to connect with you. We love what we do. And there are plenty of other professionals in the industry that are willing to help out as well. You just got to reach out there and try to find the right folks for your connection. And why am I involved with CREW? I love empowering women and men too, and fostering a very strong connection with a group. I believe that CREW, especially in the Inland Empire chapter, I feel like I'm running along with the big leagues. Everyone is a go-getter, everyone's a leader, and we kind of like fuel off of each other. So I get so amped when I'm meeting with my CREW colleagues for anything.
All right, thank you very much. All right, we're gonna hop into, and I know Naomi addressed at least one of the questions, but I really want to pay attention to some of these really awesome questions that were presented by the students. And so, all right, let's start off with from Brandon. What is your day-to-day like? How do you define success in your role? That's a very good question to know. Can we maybe have one of the panelists address that question? Pam, go ahead.
All right, I'll make the jump here. What is my day-to-day like? Well, in the beginning, every hour was critical, and I spent it either calling, going out to do projects or whatnot. But nowadays, I've set up a system such that where I'm at in my life, and knock on wood here, I work on average probably for my own work about 10 to 15 hours. The rest, thankfully, I have a great team. They do all the carrying of the hard work. So if anything, I just check in with them, and it's been really nice. But hear me out. I don't want you guys to think that like, ooh, the future is like only 4 hours of work or whatnot. I chose to do this because I have 2 young kids at home, because I want to spend some time with my kiddos. That doesn't mean that I don't work. So sometimes on a small business scale, at 2 a.m., I may need to help answer something, which is a little different than if you're working for a corporation or another company. So there's that. Now I'm sorry, I totally forgot the other part of Brandon's question. So day to day, yeah. So every day is a little different. It's with meeting with clients. Nowadays is with Zoom, and some days I take the day off. Back then I used to just take my kids and we'd go to Disneyland and it's okay. I answered everything on the phone, and it was fine. And
All
success. Success for me was when my passive income totally covered my general expenses and more. That to me is my definition of success, to be able to survive, my kids being okay, and my parents being okay with the income I'm bringing in from the rental income as an investor.
All right, thank you very much. We've got a question from Roxy. What are some things that you like about your career, and is there anything you don't like about it or find challenging?
I can answer that one. What I really like about my career, so early on, I wasn't sure this is the career I wanted to be in, early 20s. I had a friend who told me, she goes, Naomi, nobody really likes to work. You have to kind of go down that path and make a decision. Yeah, so I said, okay. And I just did the list. What do I like about my job? What don't I like? And some of the things that I absolutely love is I do create my own schedule, especially now at this point in my career. It's extremely flexible. I'm very mobile. Unless I have to go physically look at something at a property, I am able to hire a great team. And being able to hire a team is, in my role, I feel very critical because I look at everybody's strengths and I put it together. So we have a cohesive team. And to me, that's one of the things I really love. What I do find very challenging about my career is because I do work with a very large company, and what I do is a little outside of the normal property management, asset management role, and very focused on VAs and GSA. I don't have as much resource to go to. So a lot of times I'm searching out resources, creating resources, and I'm bringing them to my company so that we have more of that base. So it's a little bit of an outlier, but that is always challenging, especially when all the everyday work comes up. Pam was talking about her day. I usually get up about 6 in the morning and I work, give or take 6 to 4 solid. And then I'm on call 24/7. I've got an out of the country trip coming up, and hopefully, in the fall, we'll see. But I'll still have my cell phone with me, and my team will know the protocol is if I see them calling, it's an emergency, and I'm still answering even though I'm on vacation. So that's a tough part of my job. There really is no disconnect. It is 24/7, 7 days a week.
All right. So now I get the hard choice of kind of asking the panelists. We've got quite a few more questions, but we also need to be respectful of people's time. I'm going to ask one more question from one of our other scholarship recipients, Michelle Chong. And then I'm going to ask the panelists if they can address any of the other questions via the chat while we go through the rest of the panel. So the question from Michelle is, how much is the average investment cost for a multifamily property? I suppose it's a standard smaller apartment complex. Can any of you address that specific question?
I think that's Pam for sure.
Yeah, I can help address that, Michelle. This is very subjective to the market you're in. So you have my email. You can shoot me an email and then we can talk more offline about that. That's very specific. If you're trying to raise the money yourself, and that's where you're kind of going along with this question or thought process, in general, the requirement for a down payment for a multifamily complex is at least 25 to 30% down. So math-wise, you can probably calculate it out, but in California, prices are quite high right now, so a lot of investors are actually looking out of state. So I hope that helps answer your question.
All right. Okay. So I know, Pam, you just noted that you're willing to stay after 1 o'clock to answer any questions. The panelists are able to do that too, but I'll go back to that. I want to transition to Jennifer Dorgan though, because she has some really important information about our scholarship. So Jennifer, you mind speaking on that?
Thank you, Susanna. Well, we are all here learning about real estate, and so you can tell by what Norette and all of our panelists had said earlier is we're very committed to advancing women in the commercial real estate industry. It's for that reason that CREW provides scholarships annually for eligible women that are interested in pursuing a career in commercial real estate industry. So it has many benefits. The first one is you get a $2,000 scholarship that can be used for books and tuition. You get mentoring and networking opportunities. I think if you showed up at any of our events, you probably have seen that. You get a 1-year membership in CREW Inland Empire, and you get registration to the Fall Foundation Dinner that Norette touched on. At this dinner, we honor our scholarship recipients. So what do you need to do? The eligibility requirements are: you must be a woman, you must be enrolled in an Inland Empire college or university, you must be interested in pursuing a career in commercial real estate, you must demonstrate academic excellence and financial need, and you must have a minimum GPA of 3.0. So we encourage everyone to apply if you meet this criteria and the eligibility requirements. The deadline for it is September 27th, and you can find out more information by asking one of us or go to our website. And there was also a link available on the registration that was announced this event. So I think that pretty much wraps it up for me. We do have a raffle. So if you're a student, you are automatically entered into the raffle, and the lucky recipient will get a $25 DoorDash gift card. Yay, starving students, right? And a UCREW notebook, and we'll have to figure out how to get those things to you. Thank you, Susanna. Pam, let's go ahead and do the raffle.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Okay. Please.
Ready?
In there?
Here we go. I have all your names in here. Don't worry. All right, here we go. Not looking. Who do I have? Who's our winner? I grabbed 2, so oops. Here we go. Oh, there's 3. All right. We have My Trin. Who's the winner? Are you on here? Because you have to be present. Yes, you're on here?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So we'll get in touch with you. Congratulations. We'll work out how to drop off your wonderful CREW notebook and a $25 DoorDash gift card.
Wow, thank you so much.
All right, and you wanted to let them know about upcoming programs. Is that correct, Pam?
Yes, I can. But before that, I just wanted to double check. Are we still answering questions for the panel, or what are we doing with students who might have had questions in the chat for our panelists?
Okay, Naomi, Eliza, how are you with time? Can you do another maybe 5 minutes?
Oh,
yeah.
I can stay on, absolutely.
I can stay on, and I did see a question I would like to address that's on the chat board.
Okay, so do we want to go over the programs real quick for anyone who's maybe needing to drop off exactly at 1, and then I'll continue to moderate the questions.
Sure. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Great. So this is our CREW website, our events page. Our next upcoming event is on May 13th, and this is going to be with Lindsay Mingy. She is a commercial real estate broker, and she's going to be teaching us on the basic language. I know you guys probably heard us throw around some acronyms, and if you're not sure about it, don't worry. We all have to start somewhere in learning the lingo, because sometimes the lingo is a little long, so we just kind of shorten it up, like CRE, commercial real estate. So this is a great way to learn about the basics of that, okay? So that's our next one coming up, and then after that is May 20th. We have this huge networking yoga session that we're going to be connecting like nationally and cross chapters. So it'll be a nice way to network and meet other folks too, especially if you're applying for jobs and are open to possibly moving or want to know more about the demographics and the climate of where your future job might be at. And that's it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Pam. For anyone that needs to go and drop off, that's okay. I'm going to continue down the list of questions asked by the students, and we can kind of stick with what one of the panelists addressing if they feel comfortable doing that. So Pam, you did get a question directly from Navarre. How was the transition of going from a high-paying career, Boeing, to a more entrepreneurial role? Did you shift to part-time? What assistance did you have?
Oh, that's a really, really good question. So before you take the plunge and go into the side of being an entrepreneur, I always recommend making sure you have enough reserves. So for me, I I was able to quit after, was it 2 to 3 properties that I've owned and was working on, and they were already stable, meaning they were cash flowing fairly well and we didn't have any issues going on. And I made sure that that cash flow was able to cover my expenses and more. So ballpark is like what, 3 to 6 times of what your expense is. And then, yeah, and then I just kind of decided to quit. But if anything, I did not do it part-time. And the reason why is because I didn't want to give myself a way back. I made it purposely hard for myself. If I had quit fully, I would either sink or swim in the world of commercial real estate. So that was the approach I had. It may not work for everyone, but it somehow worked for me with time, persistence, and, you know, being patient and loving to yourself as well, because it is a huge mental shift. I think if anything, it's a 90% mental shift. That's really what it is.
All right, thank you very much. I'm gonna ask if Eliza can go in and answer this next question, since you and Naomi have got a little bit of time, and this is a sort of a general one from Kylie, which is, have you gone through a hard time that made you want to give up? How did you get through that? Which I'm just gonna say, I've been there, so I'm assuming a lot of others have.
Oh yeah, for sure. In the very beginning, it was all so new to me. I think for the first 6 months in doing this job, I think I wanted to cry pretty much every day, because I thought, like, this is insane. It was very hard. This is probably the job that I've worked the hardest at and given my most to. I'm a very, you know, competitive person, even with myself. Like, and I take every challenge, like, I need to learn this and I need to know it now. And I was a little hard on myself. I should have been a little kinder to myself and given myself more time and trusted the people who were telling me that, you know, that I was going to get it and I was going to be fine. But there were lots of hard days. The hardest part of my job now is, like Naomi was saying, and I'm sure for Pam too, we're on call 24 hours a day, you know, 7 days a week. Things happen in the middle of the night or on a Friday night, you know, and you always have to be, willing to step up and take care of whatever emergency it is, and know that, you know, your life is kind of taken over by your work, but you have to create that balance and know that it's worthwhile. It is for me. I enjoy it very much.
All right, thank you very much. Did anyone else want to chime in on that? I know I kind of put you in the spotlight. That
was the question I wanted to comment on. So I was an assistant property manager in 2009, working for a private real estate firm, and very large national one, couple $1 billion company. And when the market started to go, they started to put in place roll-offs of who and what level is going to be, you know, no longer with the company, so they could survive as a company through the market crisis. And I made it through about 6 to 7 months, and then they came up with if you're not a manager level or higher, this will be your last day of work. And so, you know, me thinking, I've gone to school, I've done everything I'm supposed to do. Oh my gosh, you know, and I called my emotional support sponsor. That's my mother, very professional, very helpful. And she said, you know what, Naomi, this is not a reflection on you. You know what, you're going to be just fine. And a couple months prior to that happening, my direct supervisor called me in the office, and she said, Naomi, a competing company called me, the director, and took me to lunch and specifically asked about you. He said, I'm going to offer her a job, and I wanted to tell you directly. And my boss said at that time, you know what, she's pretty happy where she's at, not knowing all this was coming. But after that lunch, she called me in the office and she said, you know, you're going to get a call from this person, and this is what they're going to talk to you about. She goes, you know what, it's your decision. Never close a door. Always listen to the opportunity, no matter what it is. You may think you don't want it, but be open and listen. And I did. He called me. I sat down back at my desk. He said, hey, can you meet me for coffee on Friday? And so I told him, I said, well, guess who just called? She said, go talk to him. She was always my biggest proponent. You know, she was very helpful. And so I did. And I told him the same. I said, I'm pretty happy where I'm at, but I'm open to the opportunity to listen to what you have. And it turns out that I needed that opportunity. And it happened to work out. I was laid off in 2009 and was within about 3 months able to transition to a new company. It was still hard. Emotionally, it was hard. But it did work out. And I'm lucky that I have a good support system. And I had been in CREW for a number of years, and the CREW family in Kansas City was outstanding. During that 3-month time, they took turns calling me. I would meet them for lunch. It was very nice, but that was a very personal, hard time for me. I always thought you work hard, you're honest, you work with integrity, you're going to be okay. But sometimes you don't have control. It's just not something that you can do anything about.
Very true. We did get a question asking about the panelists' contact information. If you're comfortable sharing it, if you want to put that into the chat, or if we can mail that information out later if you want as well. We did get an additional question for Pam from Nevera, which is, how do you deal with investors who are pessimistic in multifamily due to AB 828 possibly being on the ballot this year? Man, Nevera, you've done your homework.
Yeah, I'm impressed. This is awesome. Okay, so remind me, the AB 828 is probably the moratorium on foreclosures. Is that correct? I hope. So I'm going to talk to that. As a asset, wealth manager, property manager, what have you, of my business, when I buy a property, acquire it, and manage it for my investors, we always build in reserves. We underwrite it with reserves. And so, for example, a lot of my multifamily colleagues right now, those who are sweating or who are feeling pessimistic, chances are they probably didn't have any built-in reserves. So, for example, my reserves can last up to 8 months of no mortgage payment. Or, I mean, not no mortgage payments, but like with no rental income. But let's be realistic, at least 50% will pay, if not more. We have had, like I said, our tenant base, they're willing to work with us. We were proactive in communicating with them, so we have action plans with those who are facing financial hardships. So I think for the pessimistic investor, I say, hey, come talk to me. Maybe they need to work with me. Maybe they need to work with someone else who might have weathered through a couple recessions. I've survived the last recession. I'm about to survive this one. Knock on wood, hopefully. And yeah, it's all about putting it in the system and having a plan, having a strategy and a vision of a way forward to make your investors comfortable and believe in you.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much. I believe that is all the student questions. So I see that Eliza and Naomi put their information into the chat. I appreciate that, but I think that should kind of tie us up for the end of this panel. Is there anything else you guys want to add before we let these students and everyone else get back to their lives?
I just have one thing. This is an asset management discussion with also property management. And I think, 20 years ago, there was a really good hard line between asset management and property management. But over the past 2 decades, it's become a very different world. And I did a little bit of just Google, asset management versus property management, because I know a lot of what I do crosses into asset management, but I'm a property manager. So I always kind of figure titles are titles, whatever, right? But I'm going to post this link to a really good company that I found that has a good description of the differences, and just a quick read.
All right, thank you very much. That's awesome.
I have one last thing to say. Naomi, if you can send me the link, what we're planning to do after this panel is to, oh, you put it in there already? I'll put it in an email, and I'll still email everyone else because the request is for all the contacts, but some may have dropped off the call already. So we'll shoot out an email after this to everyone, so that way they have your contact info as well, and yours too, Eliza.
And this has been great. Thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this. If there's anything that I can do for the students who attended, if you want to talk to somebody, you want information, or you're looking for a mentor, I'd love to take part and help. So good luck to all of you, and thanks for your time.
Yes,
thank you very much. Yeah, y'all were all wonderful. We really appreciate your time. Thank you for doing this today. And thank you to all the students who came as well. So appreciate everyone being here, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.